Hey guys, tonight, let's slow everything down. Dim the lights, lower the volume of your thoughts, and imagine waking up every single day knowing two things for certain. 1. You are divine. 2. Absolutely everyone expects you to act like it. Because tonight, we're following an Egyptian pharaoh through a normal day. Not a dramatic one, not a conquest-heavy one. Just a regular, ritual-filled, paperwork-heavy day of being the human hinge between the gods and the Nile. Which sounds glamorous, and occasionally was, but was also exhausting. The pharaoh wakes up early. Not because he wants to, but because the sun god Ra is already moving across the sky, and if you are the living embodiment of divine order, sleeping in is not a great look. The bedroom is quiet, cool stone walls, incense lingering in the air from last night's prayers. Servants move carefully, quietly, like people who know the consequences of clumsiness. The pharaoh doesn't just wake up. He is awakened. There is washing, ritual cleansing with water, oils, and perfumes. Because gods do not start the day dusty. Clothing is ceremonial, fine linen, jewelry heavy enough to remind you of your status and your spine. Every piece chosen for symbolic reasons. Nothing casual, nothing comfortable. Breakfast is simple. Bread, fruit, beer. Yes, beer. This is Egypt. Hydration is cultural. Before governing, before speaking to humans, the pharaoh must deal with the gods. Because ignoring them is how floods go wrong. Morning rituals begin immediately. The pharaoh enters the temple. Priests surround him, chanting softly. The statues of the gods are awakened, dressed, fed, and honored. This is not optional. Cosmic balance depends on it. Literally, the Egyptians call this Ma'at. Order, balance, the thing holding the universe together. And if Ma'at collapses, it's on you. No pressure. Once the gods are satisfied, the pharaoh moves on to administration. Yes, gods still require paperwork. Officials arrive, scribes with scrolls, governors reporting on harvests, priests arguing budgets. Engineers discussing irrigation. The Nile's flood levels are reviewed carefully. Too low means famine. Too high means destruction. Just right means everyone credits the pharaoh's divine competence. Disputes are settled. Land boundaries argued over. Taxes assessed. Punishments decided. The pharaoh listens calmly. Because anger is human, and he is trying very hard not to be. By midday, construction updates arrive. Pyramids. Temples. Statues that need to be larger than the last ones. Contrary to popular belief, this is not slave labor. It's seasonal workers, farmers whose fields are underwater anyway. They build monuments to eternity while waiting for the Nile to calm down. Efficiency, but make it divine. The pharaoh inspects plans, approves stone shipments, listens to architects explain why moving several ton blocks is actually very reasonable if you just believe hard enough. Lunch happens somewhere in here. It's light. There's still bread, more beer, possibly duck, if things are going well. Afternoon is diplomacy. Messengers from neighboring kingdoms arrive with gifts. Gold, animals, letters filled with flattering language and subtle threats. The pharaoh responds carefully, because war is expensive, and gods prefer order. As the sun begins to lower, rituals return. Evening offerings. Prayers to ensure the sun rises again. Because someone has to make sure that happens. By nightfall, the pharaoh is finally allowed to be human again. Briefly, family time exists. Children, wives, dynastic planning disguised as conversation. Then comes sleep. Not deep, not carefree. Because tomorrow, the sun rises again. And so does divine responsibility. And that's just one day. Voice slows. Next time, we'll follow a child in Sparta, where the state decided childhood was optional, but obedience was mandatory. Part 2. A day in the life of an Egyptian pharaoh, who is technically a god, but still very tired. Hey guys, let's drift back into the palace. Same river, same sun, same man who is simultaneously a god, a bureaucrat, and the only person everyone blames when the weather gets weird. The pharaoh wakes again before the world feels ready for it. Not because he's disciplined, but because the universe runs on schedule, and apparently he is part of the mechanism. Morning rituals repeat. They always repeat. That's the point. Cleansing. Linen. Jewelry arranged just so. Crowns selected based on which aspect of divine authority needs emphasizing today. Because nothing says cosmic stability like a carefully chosen hat. Before breakfast, there is silence. A brief moment alone, the closest thing a god king gets to privacy. Then the priests arrive. They always arrive. Today's rituals are longer. A festival approaches, which means more offerings, more chants, and more reminders that the gods are watching closely and judging quietly. The pharaoh performs the rites with practiced calm. He has done this since childhood. Muscle memory, but spiritual. By mid-morning, governance begins again. But today it's the heavier kind. Legal cases are brought forward. Disputes between nobles. Complaints from temples about land grants that somehow always favor them. The pharaoh listens, nods, decides. Justice here is not blind. It is ceremonial. Every ruling reinforces order. Every decision becomes precedent, even when it's clearly just politics wearing religious perfume. Taxes are discussed. Always taxes. Grain storage reports are read aloud. The pharaoh knows these numbers by heart. Because food is power, and power must be predictable. At midday, the heat settles in. The palace slows. Even gods respect the sun. There is rest. Not quite a nap. More like sitting very still and pretending it counts. Afternoon brings inspections. Work sites are visited. Officials panic quietly. The pharaoh observes. Asks simple questions. The kind that reveal whether someone knows what they're doing or is just nodding confidently. Statues are evaluated. Faces adjusted. Because eternity should be flattering. Late afternoon turns personal. Education sessions with royal children. Lessons in reading, ritual, and restraint. They are taught early that emotion is dangerous. That order is everything. That one day, the universe might be their responsibility too. As evening approaches, the pharaoh prepares for ceremony again. Sunset matters. Prayers are offered to guide Ra safely through the underworld. Yes, every night. Because even the sun needs help apparently. Dinner is communal, measured, controlled. Conversation stays safe, neutral. Nothing that could ripple outward into chaos. Before sleep, the pharaoh reflects. Not on greatness, on continuity. The goal is not change. The goal is tomorrow looking exactly like today. Because stability is success, and excitement is suspicious. Voice softens, closing parenthesis. And as night settles over the Nile, the god sleeps, briefly, because dawn is coming. Part 3. A day in the life of an Egyptian pharaoh, who was technically a god, but still very tired. Hey guys, let's stay right here. Same palace corridors. Same incense drifting through stone hallways that have never heard the word privacy. Same man, still divine, still exhausted, still pretending this is normal. By now, you might notice something about the pharaoh's days. They blur together. That's intentional. Repetition is not boredom in ancient Egypt. It's survival. The pharaoh rises again with the sun, because the sun is the entire point. Ra moves. So do you. Morning rituals happen automatically. Water poured. Oils applied. Linen smoothed. There is no mirror moment. No self-reflection. A god does not check his appearance. Other people do that for him. Today is a religious festival day. Which sounds celebratory, and is. But in the same way parades are fun for everyone except the person who has to wave for 6 hours straight. The pharaoh processes into the temple. Slowly, deliberately, crowds gather. They bow. They cheer quietly, because even joy has volume limits around divinity. Priests chant. Musicians play rhythms that haven't changed in centuries. Offerings pile up. The pharaoh performs the rituals flawlessly. Because mistakes are not just embarrassing. They're cosmically risky. After the ceremony, the crowd disperses. The work does not. Meetings resume. Foreign envoys wait. They always wait. They bring gifts meant to impress a god. Gold, animals, exotic objects from places that feel very far away. The pharaoh accepts them calmly. Thanks them politely. Says very little. Power does not rush. Lunch is late today. Rushed. Eaten while listening to reports. There's news from the south. A border issue. Nothing dramatic. Just the kind of thing that becomes dramatic if ignored. Orders are given. Measured. Strategic. Afternoon heat presses down. The palace slows again. The pharaoh withdraws briefly. This is as close as he gets to rest. Then comes legacy work. Tomb planning. Yes. Already. Architects present updates. Stone quality. Chamber alignments. Text selections for the walls. The pharaoh listens carefully, because death here is not an ending. It's a project. As the sun lowers, rituals return. They always return. Prayers for balance. Offerings for protection. Thanks for another successful day of reality not collapsing. Night falls. The palace quiets. Candles flicker. Guards take positions. The pharaoh removes the crowns. The jewelry. The weight. For a few hours, he is just a man. A very important man, but still human. Sleep comes. Not deeply, not peacefully, because tomorrow, the sun rises again, and so must he. Part 4. A day in the life of an Egyptian pharaoh, who is technically a god, but still very tired. Hey guys, let's finish the day, slowly. Same palace. Same Nile breathing in and out beyond the walls. Same god king who has now lived several identical days in a row and is pretending this is a sustainable system. By this point, you start to understand something important about being a pharaoh. It isn't about power, it's about maintenance. The morning arrives again, right on schedule. Ra never oversleeps, so neither do you. The rituals continue, not because anyone is watching, but because everything is watching. Water, oil, linen, symbols layered onto symbols until the human underneath is barely visible. Today is quieter. No festivals, no envoys, just administration, the most dangerous kind. Scrolls arrive in careful stacks. Scribes read aloud in steady voices. Numbers blur together. Grain, labor quotas, temple allocations, repairs to canals that absolutely must happen before the next flood. The pharaoh approves, adjusts, balances. This is what keeps Egypt alive. Not miracles. Accounting. By midday, there is a rare inspection outside the palace. A short journey, heavily guarded. People line the road. They bow. They avert their eyes. Not because they hate him. Because looking directly at a god is complicated. The pharaoh observes fields, canals, workers moving in slow, practiced rhythms. Everything looks stable. That's success. Back in the palace, the afternoon fades into instruction. Priests review omens. Astrologers chart movements. Nothing alarming, which is the best possible report. As sunset approaches, the final rituals of the day begin. The sun must be thanked. The night must be prepared for. Ra enters the underworld again. The pharaoh ensures he has the help he needs. Because even gods rely on routine. Dinner is quiet, measured, familiar. There is no celebration, no triumph, just continuity. Before sleep, there is reflection. Not emotional, practical. Did order hold today? Did the world stay in place? Yes. Good. The pharaoh lies down. The palace darkens. The Nile keeps flowing. And somewhere between waking and sleep, there is a rare moment of peace. Because tomorrow will look exactly the same.